Hey guys, Nick here, and today we are starting the next Walking Dead What If that's been teased for quite a while. What if Madison's family from Fear the Walking Dead joined Rick from the original Walking Dead? And this is part one. Now, many people, as well as myself, if you've paid attention to Fear the Walking Dead, especially Madison and Rick on a scale for the whole Walking Dead universe, have been curious as to the idea. What if these two leaders met each other? It could have been at the beginning of The Walking Dead, it could have been in the middle, even right now, there's chance for these two characters to meet. But I took it a little bit better. I decided to collaborate these two leaders and their families at the root of The Walking Dead, the original, Rick's beginning story, the best way that I thought possible. That's where I come in. We shall now look into the idea, which will be a long series. Whether or not now that I think it will be longer than What If Sophia Joined Negan, I don't know. But this series is also still in production. I'm just getting to the finale. Usually I have series pre-recorded, but this one, cutting it close. But anyways, let's get into the idea. Few things, though, that we need to talk about first. As I said, number one, this series is pre-record. All my series are pre-recorded, and usually I have them all down and all the pictures done and everything. But with this one, I'm just getting on to the pretty much climax of the Whisperer arc. So, still not really done with that part yet, like I was expecting to be. Whether that will stop me from pre-recording my videos is not really an issue, but I just figured that I'd say that. Number two, we all know that Strand, in the original Fear the Walking Dead, after San Diego was lit up and blown up and, fire and chaos and everything, Strand rescued Madison's family and took him on the boat so that way he could go to Mexico and Thomas and all that stuff. The basic story of you people who have watched Fear the Walking Dead know what happened at this point in the story. But we have to assume that somehow, some way, the boat goes off course to be able to be in the same direction, part of the world, as Rick and them in Atlanta. So I took a little bit of time to see how this would be remotely even possible. And then when I looked it up, I noticed something very interesting. The complete boat ride from San Diego to Mexico, where they went originally, and San Diego to Atlanta is the exact same distance. So, for the boat to go off course and show up at Atlanta, it would be at the same point in the series, and besides not being in any contact with the rest of the Fear the Walking Dead world, it wouldn't change anything. So, that's how this story was able to become a complete and utter success, by off-roading with the boat course. Now, once this is actually set into motion and the boat goes off stream from where Strand wanted it to go, they do find land. But Strand is not liking at any point at all what he's seeing. They arrive at a pier by a beach, but it's not at Mexico. Instead, it's a huge city which seems run down and just worn with age. Zombie age, or Walker age if you want to be specific. They have arrived at the outskirts of the city of Atlanta. Now, Madison and everybody, they aren't sure where they are at first, because I'm not sure how many of them actually knew about Atlanta, and that's involving everybody, but I guarantee at least Strand or Madison or someone would know about Atlanta. But it takes everyone time to get used to this fact. And Strand's the only one really angry about this. Everybody else is like, as long as we can find somewhere in the city or somewhere to scavenge and stuff, it's not really a big deal. Strand would be the only one angry at this. Speaking of Strand, during the boat ride, we're still going to talk about things that would still happen. Strand's deception would still be figured out by Daniel and all that stuff, so nothing really changes there. We would still know he's deceiving them from Mexico and all that. So it's not really something that I feel would change because of the whole boat ride. And Strand would be much more aggressive here because of his failure to get back to Thomas and everything. And speaking of the whole Fear the Walking Dead world, just know that even though Madison's family is not in Fear the Walking Dead, that world is still good and everything. It's just not with Madison and her family. Anyways, another thing is that Chris would be a lot better here because the boat ride had no interruptions. Like, no one invaded the boat, and this would help Chris's character development a lot and would make him a lot closer now with Travis. And he would still be, dysfunctional Chris, but he wouldn't be, the Chris we know from the original. Anyways, once everybody gets accustomed to being in Atlanta, Strand more than anyone else, they start to think of something to do and scavenge and just, now that they're here somewhere, alive, seemingly, they get out into an open road. And then they stop, try to look for a path that goes, try to do something. But then, Madison sees something in the distance. Something moving. And it's not a walker, or anything like that. It's vehicles. And it's not just one. It's more than one, 2, 3, maybe even 4. And then when everybody starts looking, they can see the vehicles coming from the distance, and the vehicles seem to be heading straight towards them. Have they already been spotted? But they just got here. This is ridiculous. Everybody arms their guns, whatever they have, and prepare for a fight. But just then, the RV, which now comes into full focus, and 2 to 3 other vehicles park up near them. And this was sudden because Madison and everybody thought that they were just going to start firing. They didn't expect them to stop. So Madison tells everybody to stand down because there's a chance that even though these could be enemies, they could be friends also. Everybody who's in the cars steps out. Well, most of them afraid. The lead man, Rick Grimes, that we now get a good look at, which would be a true collaboration of the series, points his gun and asks who these people are and what they're doing here. And this would be a very, very good thing to see right here, even though it would just be the beginning of both series. Madison introduces herself, as well as her family, Travis, Nick, Alicia, Daniel, Ophelia, Strand, yeah, pretty much everybody that we know and love from the original. Rick then asks, since this seems to be going somewhat well, what are they doing here? Because they don't look like they are from here. Unless they saw the explosion, which he doesn't really bring to full fruition, he just asked them where they came from. He didn't think there'd be this much people alive in the city. Madison then goes on to explain their background and where they came from, San Diego, getting lit on fire, and getting introduced to the virus, and everything like that, and says that they were originally on a boat heading for Mexico, much to Strand, lying to them, but the boat must have gone off course because they ended up here, and now they're just looking for somewhere to scavenge, try and live, since they're here. Rick then accepts this because this is a pretty gruesome and serious story, much more so than his side, and it really would be. And he decides that these people can't really be that bad, maybe besides Strand. He then introduces himself as Rick Grimes, then goes on to introduce the rest of the group because, introductions are kind of a thing. He introduces his wife and son, Lori and Carl, his best friend Shane, who helped him out at the beginning whenever he got shot, the loner, Daryl, who lost his brother recently, Carol and her daughter Sophia, Andrea, who just lost her sister not too long ago, Glenn, T-Dog, and last but not least, Dale. And they said they had way more people to their group before, but they lost them. And with the introductions out of the way, with these two groups meeting so early on, and by the way, this is after the CDC explosion, with this all happening and the events seemingly coming into a good part, how will the rest of the story go with these two groups collaborating? Will it end up being a washout for any villains who might come their way? How will the Horde go on the highway with Madison's family involved? And how do you think the future of the story will play out? And that's where we leave things for the moment. Hope you guys enjoyed this story. Well, the first part to the story. This definitely will be a long story to say the least. Like I said, whether or not it will be as long as What If Sophia Joined Negan is up for debate. I don't know that yet until I actually make all the parts, or at least get close to finishing. But I hope you guys enjoyed the first parts of this nonetheless. Skip the prologue because I felt it just stupid. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.